Good morning again. So when I'm at a cocktail party or on a plane or at a business meeting and someone says, "What do you do, Debra?" I introduce myself and say, "I'm a Jewish, Unitarian, Universalist, minister, sexologist." And then people often laugh. See, people think minister, sexologist is an oxymoron. Remember, like words that don't go together, like jumbo shrimp or paid volunteer or exact estimate or Jewish minister, sexologist. When I first started going to a Unitarian Universalist church more than 35 years ago, I was thrilled to discover that I wasn't going to be asked to give up my Jewish heritage, my Jewish identity, or my Jewish traditions. That our Unitarian Universalist faith is based in Jewish and Christian roots, and that I could celebrate the religious traditions that were important to me, as well as learn about other religious traditions. Whether you are a Christian Unitarian Universalist, a Buddhist Unitarian Universalist, a Hindu Unitarian Universalist, a pagan Unitarian Universalist, whether we are humanist or theist, we are all welcome here to be Unitarian Universalists. What I discovered in seminary is that my Jewish roots are foundational to my role as a faith leader. My late father, Saul Haffner, who was an activist humanist Jew, was often asked by people, was he upset that I had become a minister? He would answer, "Oh, no, I'm fine about the minister. It's that she's a theist that bothers me." So just as you celebrate important Christian holidays, it is important to me and other people, other UUs with Jewish roots, that we create worship around these days of Oz, the time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I believe that these most holy 10 days of the Jewish calendars that has just ended have lessons to offer all of us. The central legend of the Jewish high holidays that is on Rosh Hashanah, the book of life is opened, and that God judges each and every one of us for our fate in the coming year, sealing the book on Yom Kippur. This tradition arose in early Babylonia. The Babylonian gods on the annual day of judgment, and this is from one of their writings, quote, inscribed each human being in the tablet of destiny. You probably know that rabbinical Judaism grew out of the Jews' time in exile in Babylonia. And so they morphed the Babylonian tablet of destiny into the book of life we talk about today. The Jewish legend says that the truly righteous are automatically inscribed for a good year ahead. But the rest of us, and that's almost all of us, well, we have those 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur to transform what will be decreed. There is a prayer that is said both on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur called the Tokef, and it reinforces this theme. In part, it says, on Rosh Hashanah it is inscribed, and on Yom Kippur it is sealed. How many shall pass away, and how many shall be born? Who shall live, and who shall die? Who shall reach the end of days, and who shall not? Who shall perish by water, and who by fire? Who by famine, and who by thirst? Who by earthquake, and who by plague? Who shall be at peace, and who shall be pursued? Who shall be at rest, and who shall be tormented? Who shall be exalted, and who shall be brought low? But repentance, teshuvah, prayer, tefillah, and righteousness and charity, tzedakah, avert the severe decree. In other words, the ancient Hebrews said that how we live will make a difference in how we will be judged. Universalists in the 19th century called that salvation by character. The Tokef poem ends with a reminder that no matter how well we live, no matter what a good person we are, death is going to come to all of us, that our time is short, that our lives are precious. It reads, our origin is dust. Our end is to return to dust. We are like a fragile potsherd, like withered grass, like a fading flower, like a passing shadow, like a floating cloud, like a rushing wind. like blowing dust, like a vanishing dream. So you see, my friends, the days of awe are filled with the most basic spiritual questions, questions that our ancient ancestors knew were so important that they created 10 days a year for them to be addressed. And you know what? Those are the same questions, aren't they, that we struggle with thousands of years later. How do we make meaning in the lot of our lives in the face of our certain deaths? How do we understand the tragedies that befall people? In the ancient world, earthquakes, death by wild beasts, but in ours, right? Earthquakes, wildfires, hurricanes, violence, intimate partner violence, cancer, plague, COVID-19. How do we seek forgiveness when we have let ourselves and other people down? Yom Kippur is also known as the Day of Atonement. Atonement, if you're not familiar with it, might be thought of as group confession for those of you who come from Catholic backgrounds. The Jewish public prayer of confession is called the Al Chiat, and it's recited in unison 10 times on Yom Kippur, 10 times between the beginning and the closing services. The sins are confessed communally while people pound their chest in remorse. And so I'm going to read a few of it to you, and you might want to join me in tapping lightly on your chest at the end of each phrase. So for the sin which we have committed before you under duress or unwillingly, and for the sin which we have committed before you by hard-heartedness, for the sin which we have committed before you inadvertently, and for the sin which we have committed before you with an utterance of our lips, for the sin which we have committed before you with immorality, for the sin which we have committed before you openly, or the ones secretly. And then it goes on and on, it does go on and on, to confess such sins as improper thoughts or lewdness, disrespect for parents and teachers, impure speech, foolish talk, denial, lying, bribery, scoffing, graft, drinking, usury, having a haughty demeanor, gossiping, begrudging another person, being judgmental, frivolity. I don't know what's simple about frivolity, stubbornness, swearing, hatred, embezzlement, a confused heart, and more, including the sins we have committed that we have forgotten or we have forgotten to name. And then in this prayer, every 5 or 6 sins, the people together say, for all of these, God of pardon, pardon us, forgive us, atone for us. I love that this prayer is stated in the plural. We, all of us, have committed the sin of lewdness, improper speech, lying, and so on, not I. Now, you may not individually have committed all of those sins, but none of us is perfect, right? All of us have acted against our better natures in the past year. All of us have let, if not God down, surely other people down. So as this prayer is recited, Jews acknowledge that we are not perfect people, and they ask for forgiveness together. Now, the days of awe also require individual confession and repentance, not to God, but to others. God does not have the power in Jewish legend to forgive us when we have hurt other people. Only they can forgive us. During the days of awe, we are to reach out to any person we may have wronged in the past year. Our colleagues, our friends, our children, our parents, our partners, anyone we may have hurt, and ask them for their forgiveness. And when they ask us for forgiveness, we are to generously forgive them. So it is a chance to metaphorically wipe the book clean and start the year over. So who among us has been perfect in their relationships to everyone in your life? Right? No. Is there anyone, let me ask you, right here in this congregation, you might want to ask to forgive you? How about, is there anybody in your own home? You might want to try. Ultimately, the days of awe are a reminder to all of us to live our best lives possible, to take the time to review and reflect, to make right with other people, to begin again, to open the book of life and step joyfully into another day, another year, recognizing in that ancient language that our life is but a vanishing dream. At the end of the book of Deuteronomy, God says to Moses in chapter 30, I have set before you life or death, blessings and curses. Choose life so that you and your descendants may live. Life is precious, my friends, as I'm going to preach about next week. Life is not a dress rehearsal. So choose life. Choose that what enhances your life. Create your best life. Understand that treating each other well, including forgiving each other, is how we bring the divine to life. Choose life. Choose to bless the world. May we all be inscribed for a sweet year in the book of life.